A year ago, my world changed forever. My mother, gentle, warm, the heart of our home, lost her battle with cancer. And just like that, it was only me and my father left in the house that once felt so full of life. The days after her passing blurred together in a haze of grief. At first, everything felt unbearable. Waking up to silence where her soft humming used to be, sitting at the dinner table with only my father across from me, both of us avoiding the empty chair between us. But we clung to each other. In the quiet moments, in the small, unspoken gestures. He made sure I never lacked anything. Cooked my favorite meals even when I knew he barely had the energy. Drove me to school despite his own exhaustion. Left little notes on the fridge reminding me to eat. It was his way of showing love, and I tried to do the same for him. Now, almost a year has passed, and in 2 weeks I will turn 18. It should feel like a big milestone, but instead, it only reminds me of everything that's changed. I don't even know how I want to celebrate. Our house feels both too big and too small at the same time. The silence that used to be comfortable now stretches between us, heavy with things unsaid. I've tried to keep busy with school, friends, anything to fill the void. But at night, when I hear my father moving around in his room, when I catch glimpses of him sitting alone at the kitchen table, staring into space, I know I'm not the only one struggling. Tonight, I find him in the living room, sitting on the couch with a book in his hands. He's not reading it, just holding it. "Hey," I say softly, stepping into the room. He looks up, blinking as if I've pulled him from a dream. "Hey, sweetheart." His voice is warm but laced with exhaustion. I hesitate before sitting down beside him. "Are you okay?" He offers me a tired smile. "I should be asking you that. We don't talk about it often. We never really say the words. But I know he misses her just as much as I do. Maybe even more." "I was thinking about my birthday," I say, my fingers fidgeting with the hem of my sweater. "I don't really want a big party or anything." He nods, waiting for me to continue. "Maybe just something small. Maybe just us." A flicker of something crosses his face. Relief, maybe? He shifts slightly, as if settling into the idea. "That sounds perfect," he says. "Whatever you want." I rest my head on his shoulder, feeling the steady rise and fall of his breath. "Thanks, Dad." He squeezes my hand. "Always." As my birthday approaches, I find myself thinking about the past more than ever. Little things bring back memories, certain smells, old songs, even the way the light hits the kitchen in the morning. One evening, I find myself in my parents' room for the first time in months. The door has always been slightly ajar, but I never dared to step inside. But tonight I do. It's almost exactly the same as she left it. Her perfume bottle still sits on the dresser. A book is still on her nightstand, a bookmark wedged between its pages. I wonder if Dad ever comes in here, or if he avoids it like I have. I sit on the edge of the bed, running my fingers over the soft fabric of her blanket. It still smells like her, like lavender and vanilla. "Sweetheart." I jump slightly at my father's voice. He stands in the doorway, looking uncertain, as if he's intruding on something sacred. I trail off, unsure how to explain. He steps inside, hesitating for a moment before sitting beside me. We sit in silence for a long time. "She'd be so proud of you," he says eventually, his voice thick with emotion. I swallow hard. "Of both of us?" He smiles faintly, but his eyes are glossy. "I hope so." We stay there for a while, neither of us rushing to leave. And for the first time in a long time, the weight on my chest feels just a little bit lighter. The night before my birthday, I can't sleep. I toss and turn, staring at the ceiling, listening to the faint sounds of the house settling. Eventually, I get up, pulling on a sweater and padding downstairs to the kitchen for a glass of water. To my surprise, Dad is there too, leaning against the counter, sipping a cup of tea. "Couldn't sleep?" he asks. I shake my head. "You either?" He chuckles softly. "Guess not." We stand there in the dim kitchen light, a comfortable silence settling between us. 18, he says after a moment. Feels like just yesterday you were a little girl, running around in princess dresses. I laugh. I think I still have one of those somewhere. He smiles, but it fades after a moment. I want you to know how proud I am of you. And how much I love you. I blink, caught off guard by the sudden seriousness in his voice. I know things haven't been easy this past year, he continues, rubbing the back of his neck. And I know I haven't always been great at talking about everything. But I need you to know that no matter what, I'm here. Something inside me aches at his words. I take a shaky breath. Me too, Dad. We stand there for a moment before he reaches out, gently pulling me into a hug. It's warm, strong, steady, the kind of hug that reminds me that no matter how much life changes, some things will always stay the same. And in that moment, I know that no matter what the future holds, we'll be okay. Together. The morning sunlight streamed through my window, bathing my room in a warm, golden glow. For a moment, I just lay there, letting the quiet of the house settle around me. Today was my birthday, my 18th. I wasn't sure how I felt about it. It should have been exciting, but a small part of me ached, knowing that Mom wasn't here to celebrate with us. I stretched and sighed softly, the scent of something sweet drifting through the air. Pancakes? No, something richer. Something I couldn't quite place. Curious, I got up, slipping into my robe and padding barefoot down the hallway toward the kitchen. There he was, my father, standing at the stove, a sight so unexpected I nearly laughed out loud. He was focused, carefully icing a small cake with his sleeves rolled up, flour dusting his fingers. Dad! I called, still half asleep. He turned, and his face lit up. Happy birthday, sweetheart. I blinked, taking in the whole scene. The table was set with fresh fruit, toast, eggs, and yes, pancakes. And the cake. My father, who had never once in my life baked anything from scratch, had made me a cake. You did all this? I asked, still in shock. He grinned, a little sheepish. Took me all morning. You have no idea how hard it is to get frosting smooth. I smiled so wide it almost hurt. I can't believe it. This is amazing. He motioned for me to sit, pulling out my chair like a gentleman. Only the best for my birthday, girl. I sat, and for the next hour, we ate together, laughing, talking, and just enjoying each other's company. He kept showering me with compliments, telling me how proud he was, how beautiful I was, how much he loved me. His words warmed me from the inside out. After breakfast, I helped him clean up, and he hugged me, longer than usual, tighter. I closed my eyes and let myself sink into the embrace. It had been a while since we'd had a moment like this. The day passed quietly. We didn't do anything big, no loud parties, no huge celebrations. It was just us, watching old movies, eating cake, and reminiscing about birthdays past. It felt right, but then in the early evening, he suddenly turned to me with a mischievous smile. How do you feel about going out tonight? I frowned. Out where? A friend of mine is hosting a theme party. It's called the Wild World. Everyone goes dressed as an animal. I hesitated. I don't know. I've never been to a party like that before. He squeezed my hand reassuringly. Don't worry, sweetheart. I'll be there with you the whole time. You'll have fun, I promise. I bit my lip, thinking it over. A part of me wanted to stay curled up on the couch, safe and comfortable. But another part, the part that wanted to start living again, to embrace my 18th birthday, was tempted. Okay, I finally said. Let's do it. Now came the hard part, what to wear. I rummaged through my closet, rejecting outfit after outfit. Nothing felt right. If this was supposed to be a wild party, I needed something special. Finally, I pulled out my most beautiful dress, a sleek, black, body-hugging number that shimmered subtly under the light. I paired it with my favorite heels and then, just for fun, found an old pair of cat ears buried in my accessories drawer. When I looked in the mirror, I actually felt different. Confident. I stepped out of my room, smoothing my dress down nervously. Dad was waiting in the living room, adjusting his shirt cuffs. When he saw me, he froze. For a long moment, he just stared. His eyes flickered over me, taking in every detail. The way the dress hugged my figure, the way my hair fell in loose waves, the way my heels made me stand a little taller. "Wow," he murmured. "Sweetheart, you look stunning." A warmth bloomed in my chest. "You really think so?" "I know so." His voice was soft, almost reverent. "You take my breath away." I felt my cheeks heat. "Well, you're a little underdressed for the party," I teased, trying to lighten the moment. He glanced down at his simple black shirt and black pants. I figured I'd just blend in. "No way. If I'm a cat, you're a cat too." Before he could protest, I grabbed my black eyebrow pencil and stepped closer. He stood still as I carefully drew a tiny black nose on the tip of his own and then added whiskers on his cheeks. "There," I said, standing back to admire my work. "Now we match." He looked at himself in the hallway mirror and laughed. I have to admit, we do make a cool pair. The car ride to the party was filled with nervous energy. I was excited but also a little anxious. Would I fit in? Would people stare? "Relax," Dad said, sensing my tension. "You're going to be the most beautiful girl there." I smiled, his words easing my nerves. When we arrived, the house was already alive with music and laughter. People milled about in elaborate costumes. There were tigers, zebras, even a peacock. The energy was electric. Dad stayed close to me as we stepped inside, greeting his friends while making sure I was comfortable. I felt eyes on me, but instead of feeling self-conscious, I felt powerful. At some point, Dad pulled me onto the dance floor. I hesitated at first, but he grinned and held out his hand. "Come on, birthday girl. Just one dance." I laughed and let him spin me under the neon lights. It was freeing, losing myself in the music in the moment, with him right there beside me. For the first time in a long time, I felt alive, and I knew without a doubt that this would be a birthday I'd never forget. The party was alive with energy, the air thick with music and laughter. I had never experienced anything like it before. People dressed as wild creatures, some with intricate face paint, others with full-body costumes that made them look like something out of a fantasy world. It was overwhelming at first, but with my father beside me, I felt safe, even excited. As we danced, he leaned in close, his breath warm against my ear. "Tonight, don't call me Dad," he said with a smile. "Just call me by my name." I pulled back slightly, startled. "Why?" He chuckled, tucking a stray strand of hair behind my ear. "Just for tonight. Let's pretend we're just two people enjoying a party." His request felt odd, but the way he said it, so light-hearted and playful, made me nod. "Okay," I said hesitantly, testing his name on my tongue. It felt strange, unfamiliar, but the way he smiled made me forget the awkwardness. He suddenly stepped away. "Wait here, birthday girl. I'll get you something to drink." I watched him weave through the crowd, disappearing into the throng of partygoers. The moment he was gone, I exhaled, realizing how much I had been relying on his presence to ground me. I glanced around, taking in the exotic costumes, the laughter, the way the colored lights flickered against the walls. It was dazzling and disorienting all at once. A few minutes later, he returned, holding out a glass with a soft, golden pink liquid inside. "Try this," he said, handing it to me with a wink. "It's delicious." I took a sip, the sweet and slightly tangy taste exploding across my tongue. "Wow," I said, licking my lips. "You weren't kidding." "See." He smirked. "I know what you like." We continued to dance, my body finally relaxing into the rhythm of the music. It was exhilarating, feeling so free, laughing with him as we moved together under the neon lights. My earlier nerves faded away. It was just me and him enjoying the night. Then the music shifted. The sensual, slow beat of a bachata song filled the room. The energy in the crowd changed instantly. People paired off, pulling each other close, moving in smooth, intimate steps. I swallowed hard, feeling out of place. I don't know how to dance to this, I admitted, watching the way couples swayed so effortlessly. His eyes sparkled with something unreadable. Don't worry, just follow me. Before I could protest, he placed one hand on my waist, the other taking my hand. His grip was firm, guiding. Step here, he murmured. I hesitated but did as he said. He moved and I followed, his touch light but assured, directing me through the slow, rolling motions of the dance. I wasn't sure how, but somehow it worked. The world blurred around us. His fingers traced gentle patterns on my back as he led me through the rhythm, his body close enough that I could feel his warmth through the fabric of his shirt. I felt dizzy, not just from the dance, but from everything. The lights, the music, the way he was looking at me. I opened my mouth to say something, but my head swam, and the words never came. I don't feel right, I whispered. He stopped immediately, his hand steadying me. You okay? I wobbled slightly, the room tilting around me. I think I need to sit down, I murmured. Concern flashed across his face. Without hesitation, he wrapped an arm around my waist, guiding me away from the dance floor, past the crowd, into a quieter room down the hall. It was dimly lit, a small lounge with a couch and a few chairs. Here, he said, easing me onto the couch. Just rest for a moment. I sank into the cushions, closing my eyes for just a second. The world felt distant, my limbs heavy, my mind hazy. His voice was the last thing I heard before everything faded into darkness. I woke up to the soft glow of morning filtering through my curtains. I was in my bed, at home. For a moment I lay there, my heart pounding as I tried to make sense of it. The last thing I remembered was sitting on the couch at the party. How did I get here? I sat up slowly, my head still a little fuzzy. My dress was gone, replaced by my usual sleepwear. The cat ears I had worn were on my nightstand, my heels neatly placed beside my bed. I swallowed hard, trying to piece together the missing hours. Had I passed out? Had he carried me home? The thought made my stomach twist. Pushing back the covers, I slipped out of bed and padded barefoot to the kitchen. My father was already there, sipping his morning coffee, reading something on his phone. He looked up as I entered, his expression unreadable. Morning, sweetheart. How are you feeling? I hesitated. I don't really remember coming home. His lips curved into a small smile. You were exhausted. You fell asleep at the party, so I brought you home. Something about his voice made my skin prickle. It was too smooth, too practiced. I frowned. I don't usually just fall asleep like that. You had a long day, he said simply, taking another sip of coffee. Maybe the excitement just caught up to you. I stared at him, searching his face. He looked completely normal, calm, relaxed. But something about the way he said it didn't sit right with me. I forced a smile, trying to push away the unease creeping into my chest. Maybe he was right. Maybe I had just been overwhelmed. But then why did I feel like something was missing?